The Simpsons episode about patriotism. Quick question, how many of you are proud of your country? Judging by this map, it's safe to say that many of you do, except for the Germans and the Japanese. I wonder why. Anyway, we call this pride or love for your country patriotism. You know, that warm, fuzzy feeling that makes you want to slap an eagle sticker on your car, chant USA at random moments, or maybe even sign up to defend freedom in places you can't pronounce. At the same time, patriotism isn't one size fits all. It comes in different forms and levels. Emphasis on levels. In this episode of The Simpsons called Bart Mangled Banner, we're taken on a wild ride through all the various levels of patriotism as we explore the heights and absurd depths of what it means to love your country. The episode opens with the Simpsons in a rare state of tranquility. A family car ride without screaming, swerving, or Homer turning the car into a weapon of mass destruction.
How's the ice cream, kids?
Great!
Who's ready for a kitten?
I am! Make mine calico!
Here you go.
Yeah, red flag. When gifts are rolling in this much, it's usually a sign that something bad is right around the corner.
This whole morning has been wonderful.
You know that creepy vibe you get when someone's being too nice? That's pretty much your brain flashing a danger sign, and even though Marge tries to brush it off,
Oh, you children are too suspicious.
the trap has already been set.
It's go time.
And as it turns out,
It's shot day!
now, as an adult, I'd rank getting a shot somewhere between mild inconvenience and meh. But as a kid, well, let's just say you might need to strap me to a surgical bench. Lisa decides to toughen up and just take it.
This is ridiculous. Only babies and ex-junkies are afraid of needles. Stick me, chuckles. Can I have a lollipop?
While Maggie didn't see hers coming, leaving Bart as the only one still yet to take his shot. A task that would prove to be far more than what the doctor ordered.
See you later, inoculator.
You can run, but nobody escapes the needle.
As you'd expect, there's only so far Bart can run. And so, after being chased through pretty much all of Springfield, the moment he dreads finally arrives. Bart tries to run but is caught.
Thanks, Barney.
Of course, this should normally be the end of it, but there's something about making a huge fuss over something that makes our good friend Murphy put on his court clothes.
Now that wasn't so bad, was it, Bart? You know, sometimes the fear of...
Whoa, something's wrong. I can't hear.
Let's be real. If someone forces you into something you already didn't want to do, and it messes you up this badly, like I can't hear the world anymore, badly, you're fully entitled to make everyone else's life miserable for the next 24 hours. By the time Dr. Trust me, I'm a professional, Hibbert gets involved, the diagnosis is about as reassuring as a politician's campaign promise. And according to the doctor,
I'm afraid the inoculation has swollen his ear holes shut. Maybe this would be a good time to talk about side effects. The boy's hearing should clear up in a day. If it doesn't, call me in the Bahamas.
which in the real world translates to, I messed up, so give me a day's head start to flee the country. So now Bart's effectively deaf, which to Marge means one thing, homebound quarantine. And while Bart would normally jump at the chance to miss school, there is one little problem.
I think you should stay home from school tomorrow.
But Mom, tomorrow's the big donkey basketball game. The kids are gonna play the teachers.
Cue Poor Parenting 101 as Bart ends up going to school the very next day. I mean, seriously, who in their right mind sends their kid to school when he's having hearing problems? Anyway, cut to the donkey basketball game, and in typical American sports fashion, you just know there's going to be some flag-waving, anthem-singing action right about now.
Yeah, tough crowd. Would everyone just rise for our national anthem?
People like these are what I like to call chill patriots. You know the type. They'll stand for the anthem, hand over heart with a single tear of pride dramatically rolling down their cheek, while also side-eyeing anyone who brings up the whole manifest destiny thing unironic. While everyone is busy observing the national anthem and tearing up, there's Bart, who, let's just say, isn't exactly tuned in to all that's going on. As he continues to taunt the donkey, things soon take quite an unfortunate turn.
Psych!
You ever hear someone say the universe is out to get them? Well, this right here might be the most airtight case for it. In the end, there's just little else to deduce from this situation than Principal Skinner's conclusion.
Good Lord! Bart's mooning the flag! Don't look, Buttermilk!
And just like that, Bart becomes public enemy number 1.
How dare he! That's the flag my grandpappy rebelled against!
When you insult the flag, you insult my flag tattoo!
These two, passionate gentlemen belong to the next set of patriots, the Stars and Stripes Brigade. They vote regularly, grill burgers on the 4th of July, and they might start a heated debate over whether Captain America could beat Superman. And let's be clear on one thing, their love for America isn't casual, it's weaponized. They're one bad Yelp review away from forming a militia, and the mere suggestion of disrespecting the flag is like waving a red cape in front of a bull. Only this bull has a closet full of NRA t-shirts and a collection of patriotic koozies that say things like, "This beer runs on freedom." It doesn't take long for Bart to realize the sort of mess he's in. And while the guns remain uncocked for the time being, the target on his back has never been bigger.
Uh-oh.
Before Bart even has a chance to process the situation, or, finish pulling up his pants, he's already front page news.
Your child's behavior appalls me, not just as a principal, but as a veteran of America's only losing war.
To date.
Fair point, Homer, but I think we can all agree that this isn't the kind of problem you can do your way out of. Marge, on the other hand, decides to take the explaining route.
I swear Bart didn't know what he was doing. He was deaf.
An explanation that might have held weight, emphasis on might, if it was used for anyone else, just not Bart.
Oh, sure, Marge. Just like blind Bart, wheelchair Bart, pregnant Bart, and my personal favorite, railroad spike-through head Bart.
Bart, whose rep is pretty much in the bin at this point, finds himself in a sticky situation.
Hey, fellas, my hearing's back.
Congratulations, traitor!
At first, he doesn't really get the memo, but then Nelson and his crew spell it out for him one more time.
Thank you. And let me say, I missed your sweet, sweet voices. Cram it, you racky.
Why'd you diss the flag? It partied on the moon!
Good question. And as you can imagine, what follows next isn't a debate session.
Complex!
Now, if you thought things couldn't get any worse for Bart, then you clearly don't know much about Americans. With a scandal so juicy it makes Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky look like saints, you can already guess the media's next step.
All right, who can take a story and blow it way out of proportion?
Unless you've been living under a rock, you know fully well that one of the hottest topics of debate in the past few years has been around mainstream media in the US. You know their tendency to turn a drizzle in Sudan into a storm threatening US lives, or not so obvious obsession with tearing down every single star they help to build up themselves. It's safe to say that the average American media outlet relies on a boatload of exaggerations in their reporting. We call this type of reporting yellow journalism, which is quite ironic considering we're covering The Simpsons. Yellow journalism, according to the US government, was a style of newspaper reporting in the late 19th century that emphasized sensationalism over facts. And while the US government claims this sort of journalism doesn't exist anymore, you'd have to be naive to actually believe that. I mean, I wasn't going to call any actual names, but I'll let you be the judge of who's who yourselves. By the time our mischievous reporter was done whipping the story up, it was well and truly over for Bart. With Bart's butt cheeks front and center on every major news article, there was no hiding place for him or his family.
There's the boy who bared his bosom to old glory, and the family that applauds his every moonery.
I mean, you know you're cooked when some Shakespeare-sounding guy with a caveman's hairdo is pointing you out like a Salem witch. At this point, the only reasonable move would be for the Simpsons to lay low and ride out the storm. But nope, America doesn't do forgiveness, it does revenge.
Hey, Benedict Arnold, our cups don't want your colorful balls.
Ouch. Let me break it down for those who missed history class or were too busy doodling in the margins. Benedict Arnold is the original Trader McTraderface of American lore. You're talking of a man who put the T in turncoat twice, so much so that he supposedly went to hell and then became a Marvel villain. Now comparing Homer to that guy, really? That's like accusing him of tossing the Constitution into a bonfire to roast marshmallows. I mean, sure, Bart's scandal doesn't look great, but it sure as hell isn't the same as defecting sides during a Revolutionary War. Unfortunately for Homer, not even his friends have the nuanced range to see the clear difference. Ah yes, because when you're hunched over a sticky dive bar floor, mid-heave, nothing ruins the vibe like thinking, is my barf buddy living up to the ideals of the founding fathers? Honestly, the hypocrisy here could choke a bald eagle. These are the same guys who have probably stumbled out of the bar into the road one too many times while clutching a bottle of Irish whiskey.
Become pariahs. In the last 2 hours, I've gotten 1,000 hate spam.
And so by the phone in the kitchen starts ringing. You pretty much expect some red-striped, star-studded glove to pass through the phone and knock Homer out.
Hello? Appear on your TV show? Tell our side of the story? You'll see us there?
But as it turns out, it seems a lifeline has been thrown the family's way. As you'd expect, the Simpsons pretty much leapt at this offer. I mean, they weren't exactly drowning in alternatives here.
If there's one way to get the truth out, it's on a cable news channel.
Marge, bless her heart, remains optimistic.
When we explain our side of the story, the hate calls will end.
Yet, we all know that things are never that simple. Like, can you imagine if all you had to do to clear some heat was to appear on cable news? Half of Hollywood would be making weekly appearances. Oh wait, they already do. As the fateful moment inches closer, Bart, the accidental star of this media circus, has one burning question. Nothing truthful, I'll tell you that much.
Look, what should I say to make people not hate me?
With emotions running hotter than a midsummer barbecue, there's no explanation or nuance that'll be enough to satiate anyone. It's pretty much one of those scenarios where you're better off pulling a Homer.
Son, I've learned one thing in this life. To stay out of trouble, just say nothing.
And he's not wrong. Should Bart deny it, they'll simply call him a liar. And if he apologizes, well, chances are that they'll probably demand he falls on a katana. Truth is, what the Simpsons need right now is a certified PR stunt, a tragic backstory, a bout of mental health struggles, maybe even a secret commie plot where Bart was kidnapped and brainwashed. So the time finally comes for the Simpsons to give their side of the story. And right off the bat, you can tell it's not going to be a walk in the park.
Bart Simpson, what do you hate most about this country? Is it the freedom?
Gee, I don't know. Maybe it's the mob threatening his family. But instead of snark, Bart goes the emotional route.
Nash, I've realized something. I'm the worst kid in the world, and the last thing I deserve is forgiveness.
Solid first swing, but just as he's rounding the bases...
But with a little help from Jesus and our fighting men and women overseas...
Cue the host! Locked and loaded with twist the words for a headline syndrome.
All right, so if I hear you correctly, you're saying America is better than Jesus. Do you agree? Before he can answer, do you?
Marge tries to steer the ship through the storm of stupidity.
Well, America's not perfect.
So America isn't perfect. Is that why you and your son hate us?
Ah, yes. Passive aggressiveness, the fine art of turning every conversation into a guilt trip. Some folks, like our esteemed host, have turned it into an Olympic sport. In most cases, they either use it to generate clicks and stir a conversation, and then there's the not so odd occasion where they just love the sound of their own voice pounding away at people.
If by us, you mean loudmouth talk show hosts, which everyone seems to be in this country, then yes, I do hate Americans.
So pretty much the latter. Predictably, this does not go over well. And within seconds, the narrative shifts faster than a politician at a press conference.
Wow! Marge, I'm surprised you haven't been run out of town!
I'll have you know I am very well liked in Springfield.
And before anyone could finish saying USA, the next breaking news has already been decided.
There you have it. Springfield hates America.
A wise man once said something about appeasers and crocodiles. Turns out, while Springfield was busy sharpening its pitchforks for the Simpsons, it forgot to check if the mob was coming for them next.
All over the country tonight, patriotic Americans are denouncing Springfield and its official spokesman, the Simpsons.
Usually, this is when you go into full PR mode and whip up the best "We love America" image you can possibly muster, which is exactly what Mayor Quimby did.
I am honored to announce that we are changing the name of our town to Libertyville.
And with that, Springfield morphs into a dollar store parody of itself. By the time Libertyville is up and running, the town is basically drowning in red, white, and blue excess.
I'm as patriotic as the next person, but changing the traffic lights to red, white, and blue just seems dangerous.
Well, at least the heat isn't on your family anymore. In the end, the whole thing just screams fanaticism. I mean, how else would you explain this?
Homeland noodles with Uncle Sam balls.
Or this? And when your local pastor has to say this,
Lord, give us the courage to worship the American flag.
it might be time to move to a new town, or a new state, or maybe a new country, because now you've reached the final stage of patriotism, the bald eagle on steroids. This is where you'd find folks eat their apple pie with an American flag spoon. They're ready to throw hands if anyone says the national anthem is too long. You know the type to put their kids in camo onesies straight out of the womb. At this point, Lisa has seen just about enough of Libertyville's madness.
I'd like to say something about the current climate of repression and fear.
Put a fork in it.
Sit down, Saddam.
By the time Lisa takes to the pulpit, what she has to say is something you can bet your last red stripe wasn't to the fancy of anyone in the room.
Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or of the press.
Yep, she quoted the First Amendment for our Stars and Stripes Brigade. For a second, it seems like sanity may prevail.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm sure your opinion will not go unnoticed.
But then, before she's even back to her seat, good old Lady Liberty comes crashing down on her.
Simpsons, you're under arrest for the violation of the Government Knows Best Act.
In every society, there's that one unspoken rule you just don't mess with. In America, that would be making the government look like a clown car full of hypocrites. Predictably, the Simpsons cross that line and land themselves in the ultimate prize.
I can't believe they put us in jail.
It's not a jail, it's a re-education center.
Which, in most cases, funny enough, is actually worse than jail. It doesn't take long for the re-education to begin, and the top of the menu is, you guessed it, some good old US propaganda.
Crazy cousin, Bill O'Reilly.
What do I do? What do I do?
2 hours of watching the same cartoon loop later, the results are in.
I don't know whether it's the lack of sleep, the sodium pentothal, or that it's the only cartoon I've seen in 2 months. But this is what I believe in now.
Marge, of course, realizes that the longer they stay in here, the more therapy sessions they're going to have to pay for when they leave.
Homer, we've got to get out of here.
Yeah, next commercial.
I know a way out.
Enter this guy, the prison sage. You know the one, more years behind bars than there are bars on the windows, and enough wisdom to rival Yoda. Think of him as the MC's quest giver, which in this case is breaking out of prison.
Now, if you want to escape, you can do it during the prison talent show tomorrow night.
Oddly enough, this right here is the first genuine example of patriotism. Why? Well, because patriotism isn't about waving flags or attending cookouts. That's just plain old nationalism, which has caused more wars than anyone can count. True patriotism, on the other hand, is about embracing the very values your country claims to stand for, which in America's case is freedom itself. And so, as crazy as it sounds, selflessly trying to help the Simpsons escape prison makes this questionable old man the only patriot amongst a sea of nationalists who only care about being politically correct. Long story short, the Simpsons put on quite the performance at the talent show, albeit for distraction purposes. It works like a charm. And the Simpsons make their big break, except for one tiny problem.
What genius put a prison on the middle of an island?
That genius, in case you're wondering, is Zealous B. Tower, an American Union Army general who felt the only thing better than locking people up was shooting them like fishes when they tried to escape. With nowhere to go but water, the family decides to gamble on their odds at sea.
Swim toward San Francisco!
I'm not made of money. We'll swim to Oakland.
And after what can only be described as a crazy roller coaster of unhinged patriotism, the Simpsons finally get their first dose of Lady Luck.
There's a ship. We're saved.
With their saviors being none other than America's oldest nemesis, after the British, of course.
Mes amis, we hate America too. Come to France.
Now in France, the Simpsons can finally breathe a sigh of relief, eat good food, and enjoy actual culture. And yes, this is a sub. Marge, for one, gets to shed her eternal Little House on the Prairie vibes.
I'm using a jacket as a napkin.
Meanwhile, Homer finds a society that not only tolerates his particular brand of laziness, but outright celebrates it.
And here, no one calls me a fat jerk. I'm a gourmand.
But as perfect as it all seems, there's a tiny nagging problem: homesickness. Because let's face it, no matter how flawed your homeland is, there's always a strange emotional tether. It's the place where you grew up, made memories, and learned how to dodge existential crises, or at least learn to laugh at them.
And yet, I miss America.
I miss America too.
And so, even if your entire hometown wants to see you dangling from a tree, you'll always have a special feeling towards that place. By the end of the episode, the Simpsons end up returning back home.
Picture of our brand new lives in America.
Name?
Simpson?
From now on, you're the Simps.
Drop your thoughts in the comments, along with your favorite moment of this episode. Or just let me know how you'd break out of jail. Your move.